Hi, Syd Strike again with another session on tips and ideas for trainers. In this session, I'd like to give you a little model for giving feedback. There are lots of models for giving feedback, people have different ideas on it, but I want to share with you what I do, how I like to do that and why, you'll see. And I'm talking here about feedback at the end of some skills training. So when people have done skills training, so they may be in groups practicing some model that you've been teaching them, you may be teaching them customer care skills, telephone skills, or leadership skills where they've got to interview people or listen to people, listening skills. Whatever the skill is, they will be practicing it. And if you've listened to the series, you'll realise that when they have been practicing, they've been working to some kind of model with competencies, so we can check that we did this, we did that, we followed the procedure or the technique for using this skill. So now they've had a practice. I do that, for example, with Train the Trainer, what I'm doing now. And so when they've had a practice, they want some feedback. And this is the model I use. Here's the first thing I want to say is negative feedback is usually more destructive than helpful. And I'm often challenged around that and say, well, people need constructive feedback. And so they do, and that's important too. But what I like to say, this is how I do it. So when we've finished the training session, my first question to the person who has been practicing the skill in front of their peers or with their peers, my first question is, how did that feel for you? And you know, nearly every time they'll come up with a negative. It was all right, but I felt it was a bit rushed, or it was all right, or I didn't do this right, or whatever. And then I'll say, okay then, and I'll turn to the group and say, what did you think? And they will share stuff with them, and usually it's more positive than they think. But then I'll turn to the group and say, what I want you to do for Jim here, I would like you to give him lots and lots of positive feedback. Don't care what you think, where you could improve. Give him some positive feedback. And so I facilitate the group sharing all that positive feedback with the person. And then when we've done their business, the Jim or Jenny or whoever it is has had all that positive feedback, once that's happened, I then add my bits to it, because I've been taking my notes. And I'll say, it's brilliant, I want to share some things that I saw that have not come out in this feedback. So I'm adding now to that positive feedback. So great for skills training. We don't have to worry about the negative. It will take care of itself. We are reinforcing the positive stuff that the person did. And then what we do next is I go through the competencies. So I'll go through the competencies. So for example, if we were doing telephone skills training, you know, when the person answered the telephone, was it the correct greeting for your company? Did you give your name? Did you get the person's name, etc.? And you know, that sort of repetitive over and over again practice, it sinks in. There's an expression that says practice makes permanent. So we practice, we check with the competencies, and we learn and we get better, and we embed it into ourselves. So really, really interesting. But I'm not finished yet, because now what I want to do is turn to the person that we're giving feedback to and say to that person, what do you think next time you do it? How would you improve? Have you got some thoughts? And they may have, they may not, but then I'll turn to the group, what do you think? And I'll get ideas from the group, and they just flow as a rule. But whether they do or not, if I've got some, I will like mine at the end. Have you thought about? So between us all, we've not only given feedback, but we've looked at how we get better and how we move forward. So that's one model for giving feedback. It's a good model. I use it all the time. It's totally positive. It's very energetic. People appreciate it. They love it. Hope it works for you. See you at the next session.